everyone, and welcome to another draft for SeemsGoodMagic.com. My name is Sam. Everyone liked me last week, so I'm going to try it again this week. This week with Dragon's Maze, Gatecrash, Return to Ravnica draft. So, we open a legendary Murkovosk the Mind Drinker. When it deals combat damage to a player, that player reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals 4 lands and puts those cards in his or her graveyard. So, this is obviously like a finisher type card in the Dimir decks, although Hunter of Night Vale might be better in the Dimir decks. 3 pretty good Dimir cards. Bronzebeak Amoa is actually totally fine. Crawl Warrior and Nivik Cyclops are good. What's the last card? Sinister Possession. I actually don't know what the pick here is. I don't know how good Murkovosk is. Huh. So weird that I actually want to just take Crawl Warrior. Yeah, so I'm probably going to get a bunch of hate for this, and that's totally right. But I don't love Dimir. I don't think Murkovosk is particularly fantastic in Dimir, and I really like both Gruul and Simic, and I want to be in a Gatecrash guild. So for those reasons, I want to take a 2-drop here. Also, it's a little meta. I think that people right now, when they're drafting this format, are like going crazy a little too much with the 5-color decks, and they kind of forgetting just to like clamp down, draft a really good like 2-color aggro deck. They're kind of forgetting that, and so the 2-color aggro decks are reigning supreme. And so I just kind of want to take a pretty good 2-drop with some advantage later in the game. Here, it's like an World Leader's Helix, or an Animist, or a Runner's Bane. Rakdos Guildgate isn't great. The Guildgates aren't fantastic. I don't even really want to play one in my decks. I'm just going to take World Leader's Helix. It's the best card in the pack. It's fantastic in Boros, of course. Blaze Commando is obviously good in Boros. Spike Jester is obviously good in Rakdos, but we don't really want to be in Rakdos. This is the second Nivik Cyclops we're passing, which is like a pretty reasonable archetype in this format. Windrake is fine, but not super great. Like in the next pack, we have 3/1 flyers with Trample for 3, so Windrake gets a little outclassed in that spot. We could take a Blaze Commando as we already have a War Leader's Helix, and we kind of want to cut Boros. So that's what I think I'm going to do here. Spike Jester is reasonable, but there's really no reason to take it. Now we get a Zerta Druid, a Weapon Surge, or a Thrashing Moss Dog. Zerta Druid is literally absurd. I mean, card's just insane. So I think I have to take it. Again, doing all this just to try to cut a Gatecrash guild. Again, we haven't seen much Dimir stuff, and that's because the Dimir stuff in this pack isn't fantastic, right? I mean, you have that rare, but beyond that, I don't know how good the Dimir stuff in this pack really is. Zerta Ancient is huge for 5 mana, but it lets your opponent do something cray-cray on their turn. I think we're actually just going to take a Riot Piker. I mean, Zerta Ancient isn't that fantastic. It's a 7/5 for 5 that lets your opponent cast everything in their hand on their turn. It's really not that fantastic, although we could take it, but Riot Piker goes in both decks we could possibly play, Gruul and Boros, and this only goes in the Gruul deck, and while it's big, it's not one of the best Gruul cards by any stretch. I think I just take the 2-drop. I could also take the Hazda Snare Squad. This is better than Riot Piker for sure, but then I'm stuck in Boros. I don't have the option to get into Gruul later. I think I just take the better card. I think I just take the Snare Squad, although we are seeing Gruul come this way, so maybe that's wrong. If we end up like a pick short, that's why it's that pick. Yeah, so first pick Crawl Warrior, never something I want to do. You probably want to, in general, don't listen to me, in general, you probably want to take one of the 2 Dimir cards first. In general, like, in the wide world of drafting, I think you want to take one of the 2 Dimir cards. However, in that spot, because of the situation that we were already in with, or because we had already played this draft and we knew kind of what the meta was, a lot of the crazy decks, we knew that we just wanted to be aggressive, and we also knew that because people were drafting 4 or 5 color decks, it's going to be a little hard to read signals and pretty hard to pull together like a solid 23 cards, right? You're lucky to get like 21 playables and 2 others in this format right now. Because everyone's playing the crazy deck. So, because of that, we knew that Or because of that, I thought that maybe that was the right pick. I don't know. I'm going to take a Protect and Surf here. Just target creature gets +2/+4 until end of turn. None of this other stuff is fantastic, and the white half is kind of playable. And we get a First Blade, a Mastiff, and a Maka. So red-white aggro is certainly open. I mean, I'm just taking this First Blade. 4/4 haste for 3 is obviously fantastic. Could take the Maka, but the First Blade's better. Again, could take the Maka, like, pretending that we're still possibly Gruul, but we're not. We're just Boros at this point. Mastiff is fine, but it's not fantastic, so I'm just going to take the Viashino First Blade. Alright, and now we get a Gleam with Battle. This card's fine, but it's not fantastic. Toil and Trouble is okay. Weapon Surge is pretty good, actually. I'm just going to take a Weapon Surge. I mean, you make a bunch of little guys and then you just kill them. I mean, if you get like some Foundry Street Denizens and stuff, Weapon Surge is a very playable card. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play it. Not sure how good Blaze Commando is in this format right now. It's probably like totally mediocre. Just a 5/3 for 5 that sometimes makes 2/2s, or 1/1s I mean. But with Weapon Surge and a World Leader's Helix already, we're going to consider this being in the deck. Also, Protect and Serve isn't fantastic, but you know, you can obviously play the white half if you need to. Lie of Decree is good in some decks. If you can just tap down 2 things and kill them, it's fine. Nivik Cyclops is of course good, but not in this deck by any means. Although it is theoretically good in the Weapon Surge or World Leader's Helix decks, I'm just going to take Liev Decree. You might have to play it, or you might want to play it. Showstopper's fine. I'm just going to take a... I guess I'll take a Showstopper. I don't think there's any... I'm going to take the Gruul Cluestone in case we somehow end up Gruul, but that's like impossible at this point. Maze Rusher, a second Cyclops. I'm just going to take the Maze Rusher. It's a 6/3 haste for 6. It's not fantastic, but it is playable if we have to play it. And now we get a Boros Cluestone. Clear a path is not good, and we're just going to take a Cluestone here. We're going to take this card, Wake the Reflections, or all of the guilds. All for the guilds is fine, but it's not good. I'm just going to take a Adept to Deathless. I don't want, you know, I don't want the Orzhov deck having it. Alright, we get an Uncovered Clues. So this is kind of where you end up in all the packs, which is why you just end up short. You end up with like 6 and maybe if you're lucky 7 playables, because everyone's just taking all the stuff. So, that like 5th to last pack where we got the First Blade, there's also a Mastiff, there's also a Maka, made me think that red-white aggro was open, but I don't know. Now we get a Foundry Street Champion, or just a Foundry Champion, sorry, and basic lands in this pack, and a True Fire Paladin. So it deals damage to target creature you control or player equal to the number of creatures you control. This card is fantastic. The issue is it's 6 mana. I think True Fire Paladin's actually better. Don't get me wrong, this is great. It's great, it's great, it's great. It's a 4/4, it deals like 3 damage when it enters the battlefield. You can pump its power or its toughness. But I actually think that True Fire Paladin is better here. Just staying low on the 2-drop grind, and yeah, I think that's where we want to be. Alright, now we get a Foundry Street Denizen, a Boros Guildgate, a Boros Keyrune, or a Zerichi Tiger. This pack kind of sucks for us. I mean, there's a Cloudfin Raptor and a Shamble Shark for 2 great Simic cards. There's a Sapphire Drake, which is more of a Simic card than a Dimir card, but it's fine in both, and a pretty good Dimir card. There's a bunch of unplayables too. I mean, Contaminated Ground, Sky Games, Primal Visitation, Predator's Report, Midnight Recovery, all pretty unplayable. I don't love this Keyrune. I actually don't mind this Denizen. In a deck with Weapon Surge and possibly Dynacharge in the next pack, there's definitely a reason to play some Denizens, so I'm actually going to take this. I also just don't want to be short on playables, and I don't want to be forced to play a Boros Keyrune. So that is my reason. And now we get a Syndic of Tithes, which is excellent in this deck, over a Fortress Cyclops. Fortress Cyclops is playable, but Syndic is 1, significantly better, 2, it's significantly better because of the 2-drop, and 3, it's a 2-drop. Did I make my point clear on that one? It's a 2-drop, it's a 2-drop, and it's a 2-drop? Okay. So, Assault Griffin, also totally playable in this deck. Don't sleep on the Griff. For sure, for sure. So, 3 picks into Gatecrash. 2 cards that we're very happy to pick in the top 3, and 1 pick that we hope to wheel usually, but we had to take it. No big deal. Madcap skills, Urbis Protector. So, good Orzhov pack with Orzhov Charm, Basilica Screecher. Decent card for the mill deck. We're just going to take the Madcap skills here. It's a solid red card. It goes on a Foundry Tree Denizen to get in for 4 on turn 2 if that's something that we're interested in. You definitely can steal games on the play going Denizen Madcap skills. If they miss a 2-drop or have to play a gate tapped on turn 2, you get in for 4. You get in for 4 on turn 3, 4 on turn 4, even if they, So you can steal some games that way. So I'm just going to take it. You can also steal some games late, obviously. You can put it on a First Blade. You can put it on a bunch of things. You can put it on a True Fire Paladin. Give all your, give it First Strike. You can kind of make them miserable. Could take a Nav Squad Commandos, Daring Skyjack, one of the better battalion cards, one of my favorite cards in the Gate Crash set. So I'm just going to snap it up here. So the second pick, we were not happy to take Foundry Tree Denizen. Third pick, pretty happy with Syndic of Tides. Fourth pick, okay with Madcap skills, but sometimes those wheels. Fifth pick, we're like, this is solid. Daring Skyjack, totally good. Now we get a Boros Charm, excellent card. We could take Smite. The issue with taking Smite is that it's a defensive card, and we're definitely not a defensive deck. There would normally, in the normal Gate Crash draft format, there would definitely be spots to play Smite, even in a deck like this, because your opponent would come out more aggressive. You would have like a Foundry Tree Denizen on 1, nothing to pump it. You'd have to Smite them to like keep them off attacking you, etc., etc. In this format, that's just not the case. We're going to be so much more aggressive than our opponents in general. Of course, we might run into someone more aggressive than us. Then we just have to take Boros Charm here. Yep, and then we get another Skyjack, an Active Treason, a Fortress Cyclops, or a Millennial Gargoyle. You know how I feel about 2-drops. You know how I feel about really good 2-drops. So you know that I'm going to take the Daring Skyjack here. We could take a Fortress Cyclops, but we already have a Blaze Commando. We could take an Active Treason, and it's fine in this deck, but there's another Active Treason in RTR. I forget what it's called, I believe. We could take a Gargoyle, but Skyjack's just better than Gargoyle, so I think it's between Skyjack and Treason, and I think we take Skyjack. So here we have a Key Rune. We have Mark for Death, which is much better in Gruul than it is in this. And we have an Assault Griffin, which is going to be the card we take. Assault Griffin, totally solid in Boros. I mean, you just come out with a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and a 4-drop, and you start attacking them for 3 in the air. Especially with reach like War Leader's Helix and Boros Charm, and if you can put a Madcap skills on it, you're doing it. So definitely the pick here. Gonna put this Protect Serve in the board for now. Oh, this could be a deck to play both Liev Decree and Protect Serve, don't get me wrong. 13 playables is, again, about where you end up. If we can get into that 15 or 16 range, we're going to be jumping for joy, but I assume we're going to be stuck around 14 with just the cards we want to play, and then we're going to have to play some cards that we don't really want to play. So Blaze Commando is fine here with these two. We would have loved a Mugging, but I mean, those go first or second pick, so we're not going to see one now. In the next pack, there are some things that we would like to see. I mean, we would take an Explosive Impact, right? We would take some stuff like that. Unfortunately, the best red removal spell is also a black removal spell, Augur Spree. So we're a little off that, and we can't take any of the double-colored cards really in the next pack. But we're going to rely on the 3-drops in the next pack, like Splatter Thug, which is a 3/3 first strike for 3. Maybe we'll get a Rakdos Cackler, you know, some stuff like that to kind of push us even more toward down the aggro route. But you know, we're sitting okay for right now. Definitely happy with our 2-drop slot. Would like to add 1 or more 2-drops actually, and then got to fill out these 3s. And look, I mean, Foundry Tree Denizen's definitely, of all these cards, the first card to cut, especially since we only have 1 red 2-drop, so, you know, most of the time it's just a 1/1 for 1, which is not something you really want to play. But with Dynacharge, possibly, us getting a Dynacharge in the next set, you know, it's going to be okay. Could take a Millennial Gargoyle here. It could also take an Active Treason. So the idea behind Treason is that with everyone playing so many big things, like, all of our opponents are going to be playing huge creatures, or a lot of them are going to be playing, like, really, really big creatures, and so we could just act it, and then kill them with their own huge thing. Yeah, I like it. I like it better than Gargoyle, I think. Alright, now we get a Zarichi Tiger. We'll play the Tiger. I mean, it's a 2/3 for 4, but it gains some life sometimes, and some aggro, whatever, it's totally fine. We're going to take an Armor Transport or a Guildgate here. I don't think we want to take a Guildgate. We don't really want to make our mana any slower. I think we're just going to take an Armor Transport. I mean, it just attacks and attacks and attacks and attacks. It's really good with Daring Skyjack, of course, because it just attacks. So if you have like a Daring Skyjack and Assault Griffin in this armor transport, you're just hitting for 6 in the air. Taking a Nav Squad Commando isn't happy to play it. I mean, a 3-5 for 5 isn't fantastic, but a 4-6 Vigilance for 5 is definitely something you're willing to have, and that's what it is in this deck. So 17 playables. Much better than we could have hoped for. We really got lucky in those last few picks. I mean, Boros is clearly a little bit open at least to get Boros Charm, you know, Boros Charm late like that, and then the Active Treason and the Nav Squad Commandos and the 2 Skyjacks. So, got a little lucky. Now we need some more luck on this end. A Deathrite Shaman and an Azorius Arrestor. Deathrite Shaman. That's like banned somewhere, right? Taking Azorius Arrestor the whole way. 2-drop, that detains. An argument could definitely be made for Soul Tithe. Don't get me wrong, this card is fine. But I think it's just Azorius Arrestor here. Alright, and now we get a Splatter Thug. This is what the doctor ordered. It's actually what Jared ordered for, you know, us to get. But it's exactly what the doctor ordered. It is a 3-3 first strike for 3 mana. This card's great as well, this Knightly Valor. When Knightly Valor enters the battlefield, create a 2-2 White Knight creature token with Vigilance. Totally fantastic, right? Armory Guard's fine, Soul Tithe again, fine. We're going to wheel one of these 2 Soul Tithes. I doubt we're going to wheel this Knightly Valor, but I guess the Selesnya player at the table could take the Centaur's Herald. So we're just going to take this Splatter Thug. We're very happy right now with our first 2 picks. Oh, and we get an Annihilating Fire. This is fantastic. I didn't even think we were going to see one of these, or I didn't count on it. That's why I just said Explosive Impact, but Annihilating Fire is absurd. Deals 3 damage target creature or player. If creature dealt them this way, whatever, exile it. But it's so good with Blaze Commando. It's great in this deck. Hopefully we wheel this Dynacharge, something that we would be very happy to have as well. We're going to take this Annihilating Fire. We could also theoretically play the Judge's Familiar, but it's not fantastic. So this deck is getting good here. Wow, a Dreadbore? Jeez. That's just like, unfortunately pretty far away from us, but it is, I mean, Dreadbore is a great card. Don't get me wrong, destroy target creature or planeswalker is always very good. Right now, we're kind of a burn deck, actually, but we could take a Swift Justice, although we already have a Weapon Surge, which is kind of the same thing, plus Overload. We could take a Selesnya Sentry Elephant, or a Viashino Racketeer. So I would take either the Sentry or the Racketeer here. Racketeer has the advantage of discarding and then drawing. Selesnya Sentry has the advantage of being a little bigger. I actually don't know if the +1/+1 is worth the loot ability, but I think I'm going to take the Viashino Racketeer. I like it a little better. I don't know if that's correct or wrong to like it a little better, but I do. Right now we would be happy to take a 6th 2-drop at some point. If we don't get there, we don't get there. Oh, we got there. Another Splatter Thug. We're going to take this over Avenging Arrow. Avenging Arrow is fine, but they're not really attacking us, so we're going to be attacking them. We could let something of them do damage to ours, probably kill ours, but then we're kind of 2-for-1ing ourselves, and while that's okay in some situations, I think we'd rather just be straight up attacking. Some decks just can't deal with the Splatter Thug, especially a Splatter Thug that has like Weapon Surge or Madcap skills or something like that. So I'm just going to take the Thug here and be very happy with our 22 card deck so far. Looking for one more playable. Don't really want to play Alive Decree out of the sideboard or either Maze Rusher, but if we don't get there, we definitely can. The next card out is probably Foundry Denizen, to be honest. Just none of our 2-drops are red. Oh, jeez. Alright, I mean, we're just going to take another Splatter Thug. Yeah, not Cobblebrute, not Bellows Lizard, not Armory Guard, and not Racecourse Fury, so we're just going to take another Splatter Thug, and the next playable we get, Foundry Denizen, is the first card out, over Zerichi Tiger, probably. Zerichi Tiger is at least playable. I mean, it is just a 2-3 for 4, but it's at least playable. We could also take out the Zerichi Tiger for like a Liev Decree, I guess, but sometimes you just need to tap down their biggest guy. Totally understand that. Especially with the reach that we have in this deck, sometimes we can tap down their biggest guy, get them to like 3 or 4, and then alpha the next turn, and that's going to be good enough. This Weapon Surge is going to be fantastic. We would love a Dynacharge, especially now that we have Fire to also go with Blaze Commando. Whenever we play Blaze Commando, we can expect to trigger it once, usually, because we have 3 burn spells, so you know, that's a thing that we're definitely going to be able to do, hopefully. Hopefully we can live the dream. If not, this is a 5-3 for 5. It's a 5-3 for 5 with a little bit of upside and some extra upside with Weapon Surge, right? If the dream ever comes together, we can live it. Oh, Jesus. Bloodfray Giant? Rakdos Shred Freak? I mean, we have to take Bloodfray Giant. It's a 5-4 trample for 4 mana. A 5-4 trample for 4 mana is... What is happening? We could take a Rakdos Shred Freak, of course, because it has haste, but... A 5-4 trample for 4 mana? Jeez. Alright, I mean... Oh. Trader's Instinct. Fencing Ace is fine. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's fine in some of the, like, Selesnya suit up your guy. Like, if you have, like, 3 Unflinching Courages from the first pack, you do it, but... Beyond that, not fantastic. We could take an Avenging Arrow, actually, here. We could also take a Traitorous Instinct. A Bloodfray Giant? Jesus. This is fine, but it's not better than Active Treason. I'm just going to take Avenging Arrow. Fencing Ace is good, but the only thing we have is, like, Madcap skills to go with it, and that's not fantastic. So it's basically just a 2-2. I'm going to take Avenging Arrow. And we're going to get a Soul Tithe here. I don't know how good Soul Tithe is in these decks. I think it's pretty good. We're going to get another Soul Tithe here, maybe. Nope, just, I'm just going to rare draft, maybe. Do I take an Armory Guard or do I rare draft? I think I just take an Armory Guard, actually. It's close, but oh, and a Dyna Charge. We are doing it. Alright, so now we can get rid of all the nonsense that we don't want. I mean, this deck really came together. And you guys thought I was, like, 8 million of you just pressed the next video button as soon as I took Crawl Warrior. You were like, what is this idiot doing? Well, this idiot ended up not playing the Crawl Warrior, but we did end up with a pretty sweet Boros deck. So, ha! Maybe you should listen to idiots more often. Alright, 3 Splatter Thugs? I mean, how good of an RTR pack did we have? Jesus. This is a 16 lander, by the way. I just don't know where the cut is. Huh. The cut is not here, for sure. And the cut is probably not here. The cut is here, I think. Oh, this is a lot of 3s, don't get me wrong. I mean, we are loaded on 3s. Maybe this is the cut? I don't know. This is really good with Skyjack. Is a Soul Tithe good in this deck? A Soul Tithe can be pretty good in this deck. I mean, just we're attacking so much that if they have to, like, we're basically time walking them, and a time walk is fantastic in an aggro deck. And I do kind of need to cut a 3, I think. So I don't really want to cut Avenging Arrow, Active Treason, or Annihilating Fire, I think, and I don't want to cut First Blade, the 3 Splatter Thugs, or the Hassan Slayer Squad, so if I'm going to cut a card, it's going to be Transport or Racketeer, and I feel like Racketeer's a better cut, because Transport, like, turns on the Skyjacks, and that's really good. Could also cut a 5. Is this just fine? Do I cut an Avenging Arrow for a Soul Tithe? Is Avenging Arrow just not aggro enough? Avenging Arrow might just not be aggro enough. I think I cut an Avenging Arrow for a Soul Tithe, and then I just run this. Just running it. Alright, gonna add some lands, gonna see what happens here. Probably just going to be 8 and 8, I would assume. 9 and 7 with an Annihilating Fire and a Bloodfray Giant, but all my 2s have white mana. I think I was trending towards 8 and 8, and I think I like that better. Alright everyone, thank you for watching this draft portion. As always, my name is Sam. I have my own YouTube channel, Samuel Rubin. Link will be in the description below, as always. Go check that out. I put up videos 5 days a week. I'm also going to be Twitching soon, so stay tuned over there. I do giveaways, I do drafts, I do Wacky Wednesdays, I do Standard sometimes, I do Sealed Sundays, the whole thing I do over there. So go check that out. I'm going to be here every Wednesday for this foreseeable future. Hope you like to have me. You know, drop a comment, drop a like, do all the stuff. I respond to each and every comment, so if you have any questions about my play and my picks, if you hate me forever because I took a Crawl Warrior over a Murkovosk, tell me, let me know. I'll be happy to interact with you. I totally understand sometimes I do the wrong thing, you know, I'm not LSV, I'm not any of those guys. I totally mess up sometimes, so let me know what you think. I'll make sure to respond to you, and I'll see you for the next video.